Hey guys, Julia here. Welcome back to another video, and today is the last 2021 monthly setup. Let's do this. The theme is Krampus, a little dark, a little eerie, but still festive. I'm actually setting up what will be my entire month of December in here since we're going on a trip halfway through the month. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's hop right into it. Let's start it off with the cover page, of course. I'm going for a little mini Dutch door over on the right side for honestly no good reason in particular. I just like the separation it gives, a little peekaboo moment. It's just so fun. So I'm writing a big old 12 here using a Tombow as a base layer, and I know you guys are always curious. Well, maybe you are, I don't know. I'm just assuming, but the font that this lettering is based off of is called Kaiser. It's a vintage black letter style font, and these type of fonts you see in a very gothic context, like Renaissance stuff. But yeah, very common in Europe in the 12th through 17th century. So fits in with the vibe I'm going for this entire theme. But moving along down the side of the Dutch door, I'm popping in 5 golden rings. Yes, like the Christmas song, obviously. So quick story, 2 of the Patreon poll themes choices this month was, of course, Krampus. And then the other one was 5 golden rings, and it was a popular one. It was almost split down the middle, so I just thought it would be fun to incorporate rings into the Krampus theme. And glad I did, because I was honestly torn between the two myself. So we have Krampus over here on the left, and I'm using fine liners for this drawing mostly, and this sort of sketchy style is just my jam. Lots of lines and dots to indicate shadows and contours, and then just a ton of scribbling for texture. I hit up a similar style back in July, and yeah, I just thought it was perfect for this darker theme. But I've mentioned a few times on the channel that we're going to be in Europe for Christmas, and Austria is where we'll find ourselves actually on Christmas, and Krampus is an Austrian tradition. I'm also not completely over Halloween yet, so it's just the perfect theme for where I am right now. But I think Krampus kind of gets a bad rep in the US because he may be seen as, I don't know, like demonic or something, but you know, my partner Cam described it in the perfect way, I think. So it's kind of like a good cop, bad cop situation, basically. If you're good, Father Christmas or Santa Claus or whoever brings you gifts. However, if you're rotten, Krampus is the one that drops off the coal so you don't get mad at Santa. He's like the assistant that has to deliver the bad news. I mean, it can get pretty dark though, I guess. Krampus can also come and just snatch you up, and that's probably where things go wrong, but I'm sure Krampus is a nice fellow if you're good. So this is a first for the Bujo. I'm busting out my super fancy Crayola color pencils to color in some of the robe here. I'm mostly coloring in where the shadows are and just lightly branching out from those areas. This is another one of my favorite sort of coloring styles. It's just giving the impression of color. It's faster than obviously coloring in the whole thing and having to worry about all this layering and blending and whatnot, but it still has some stylistic merit, I think. For a sack of coal, I'm using the Crayola Color of the World markers, and I basically got these markers for all the subtle neutral goodness, but I'm sort of using the same techniques I did with the color pencils and just getting some color down near the shadows. So I got some washi tape in there, and oh my god, I told myself I was going to lay off the dots and sparkles for this one, but I couldn't help myself. I at least used different shapes for the sparkles than I usually do, so there's that. So we're gonna come back briefly to the cover page. I'm not quite feeling like it's all the way done at this point, but for now I'm moving on to the monthly spread until I figure out exactly what to do with the cover page to finish it off. But starting with the monthly spread, I'm writing in December, well, DEC, in that same black lettering as the cover page because we love consistency around these parts. So yeah, basic grid here, we love to see it. But to dress this calendar up, I'm using the functional sticker set for this month. My patrons already have the sticker sheet, but it will be available on Etsy on December 1st. There are some day headers here, some happy planner friendly block stickers for notes. And yeah, today I'm going to be using the little triangles here for number blocks on the grid. The stickers are matte, so you can write right on top of them without any smearing, so that's always a fun time. For the darker row, I'm using a super light gray Jelly Roll pen for the numbers there. Alright, so the golden rings return over here, and this time they're hanging from strings. And this was fun because obviously a ring, a circle, pretty simple, but this was fun drawing the rings at different angles, and I think I ended up adding a little flavor to the spread for sure. All right, this window down here along the bottom, this was scary. I knew I wanted a window with Krampus sort of peering in down here, but I literally had no idea how I wanted to make this happen. So other than a little sketch, you're definitely going to be seeing some on-the-fly problem solving here. I pretty much had the frame of the window down for sure with marker, and then I just took some time to finish off the rings while I thought about what I wanted to do with this window washi tape because I didn't know what to do with the window. So, okay, window. Obviously the frame is going to be there, but funny enough, this dark green color was just left over in my palette from like at least a week ago. This is why we love gouache. I just added some water to it, some white, and bam, this lovely teal color for the sky. But yeah, I'm popping back and forth between the paint and the Tombow because like I said, I didn't have a plan, but basically I used the Tombow to just sort of have this dark silhouette, and somehow it worked out with just one Tombow. I added some stars, some tree silhouettes in the background, and it's not the most tidy looking thing ever, but I'm really happy about how it turned out. Just like not really planned, but just a happy incident, not really an accident, but yeah. But back to the cover page, I decided that I love this teal color so much that I wanted to add a little border to the Dutch door with it. And for some reason, it was just the right finishing touch for the cover page. And so yeah, we're gonna call this one good. And while we're at it, the paint is fresh. I'm going to go ahead and add in a border on the monthly page as well. And although I didn't want to go all in on this one color, it's a nice accent color to the palette that I had in mind from jump. Finishing this monthly spread off, I'm getting the day headers in there and just using initials in that black letter style. The S in Saturday didn't quite fit in there, so I did what I could, and it ended up looking like the ring was just hanging in front of the S, which is cool. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the monthly spread, and I don't know, I absolutely love this one. It feels very Austrian, but very holiday. I'm quite pleased with it. Surprise, the next spread is not a habit tracker or night log since I'll only have my journal on hand for half the month. I'm just skipping that this month and moving on to the work dashboard section. So for the top of this page, I'm doodling in a little bag of coal. I'm going to be taking my reflections journal with me on the trip. It's much smaller and I still want to reflect on every day out there. So I really had to think about what spreads to set up this month and what would make sense to use. There are definitely still work projects in limbo, and we'll be working on those the beginning half of the month, so I thought this was important to still include and keep up with. I've moved my yearly focus tracker down below the chart. It just seemed like the right amount of space for that, and here's just where I'm still keeping up with those yearly goals I set almost a year ago. When we get back from the trip, I plan on looking back on all the progress I've made in the 4 sections and doing sort of a wrap-up page to see how I've progressed in those 4 categories throughout the year. And this is the decorative sticker sheet for this month. Again, these will be available on the Etsy shop December 1st, but these are always just so fun to make, taking elements straight from the setup. I'm going to be using some of these starish snowflake stickers for this page. This next one is left pretty open for notes, but I definitely want to dress it up a bit, so it's on theme. So I'm grabbing a sheet of like cream professional letterhead paper that I have laying around and tearing the edges to give it that worn look. Once I have that pasted in, I'm just writing a big ol' N for notes and coloring that in first with a marker before going on top of it with some red metallic watercolor. And I think we are all sleeping so hard on the red metallic watercolor. I absolutely love, love, love how shiny, like illuminated manuscript-y this turned out. But I just added washi tape and the usual accents to finish this spread off. Okay, this next page is a new one as well. It's going to be to track gifts and count down the days until the big trip. But first, another illustration. I've got the 5 golden rings going on up here, and under that will be our man Krampus. Again, I'm using a group of fine liners in that same sketchy style as the cover page to get this one done. And if you're curious about the trip, it was actually scheduled for Christmas last year, but we all know how that turned out. with the situation of the world, but we're going to Poland, Austria, Slovakia, and Hungary. It's going to be a cold freaking trip, but mulled wine and Christmas markets and thermal baths. Yeah, I'm excited, and definitely follow me over on Instagram to see how that goes. I honestly don't know if filming an entire vlog will be a thing, but I'll definitely be posting photos. And if you happen to live in any of those places, or if you've been there before, leave your recommendations down in the comments. So yeah, finishing up our front-facing Krampus, I'm using basically the same coloring technique as the cover page, but there's a bit more color on this one. I even decided to use a little bit of that gold watercolor in his beard and on the rings for that extra shine, but then once I had that in there, I decided to just go all in with the gold and add a little gold circle behind him as well, so it just didn't look as flat against the white. So yeah, with that about the trip being said, we're obviously going to be shopping for Christmas gifts a little earlier this year, like now, which is probably a good idea anyways with all the shipping craziness that is the world right now. So this will be where we track that, basically what it is, who it's for, if it's been shipped, and what we spent, and all of that will be for this chart. And then under that are just little boxes that lead up to the trip. It's just like a hype section to color in as the days go by. But yeah, usual accents here because it helps tie in all the spreads, and we're on to the next page, which is a little half weekly spread because the month does start on a Wednesday. And man, I haven't done a weekly setup like this in a long time. These little daily boxes used to be my go-to weekly layout, but I've been loving using the rolling weekly lately. We deal well with change, and since it's a short week, I thought I'd throw it back. So you'll see I'm splitting each box into 3 sections. The top one is for the header, the middle one is for any meetings or events that are happening that day, and then the bottom portion is left open for any daily tasks. If I don't finish or get to the task, then I know to migrate it over to the next day. Pretty straightforward spread to set up. I'm writing in "You better watch out" on the bottom of the spread here, little holiday song reference, some stickers, the usual suspects for accent, and this spread is in the books. All right, speaking of the rolling weekly, this last spread to set up is indeed a rolling weekly that will take me up until the trip. So this one will cover 11 days, which is actually no big deal because if you've been around for a while, then you know sometimes I do these sort of supersized weeklies if the month begins on like a Thursday or Friday, just because I like to start my weekly spreads when the month actually starts. And yeah, a lot of the time I do have to work around the way the calendar is set up. Along the side, we have just a little parchment paper for the naughty list. I was actually going to put names on it, but thought that would be a little distracting. But I'm getting my chart in for the first 7 days, and this is going to be for events, meetings, day-specific tasks, and sort of just finishing off the quote from the last spread, "You better not cry." Once I have that all set up, I'm pulling in some of that teal color and just doing some circles here and there to subtly tie in the rings and bring that whole accent color in, and honestly to use up the paint that's left in my palette. For the top of the rolling task list, I'm doodling in some cute little round bells, and obviously this is a little nod to the holidays, but also Krampus traditionally wears chains and bells so you can hear him coming, much like jolly old Saint Nick and the sleigh. But yeah, for these, I'm using both markers and that red color pencil, being really quick about just basic shadows and highlights here. For longer weekly spreads, I love to include a little flip up for extra space without taking a page away from the journal count, like a full-on Dutch door would. So I'm just using a dot grid notepad for that, folding a sheet in half and gluing in the back side. Inside, I'm leaving this bottom half pretty open for maybe notes or more focused task lists. I'm not sure what I'll end up needing this space for, but it's nice to know I'll have it once I actually start working with this spread. The top half will be for the events and meetings for the last 4 days, and I'm popping in a little functional task box sticker for another running task list along the side. So yeah, as you can see, like maximum function, maximum planning space to wrap up the year. So flipping this thing down, for whatever reason, I ended up with a little bit of ghosting, even a little bit of bleeding from the tombow, which is Honestly, a little unexpected, so we're going to fix that up in a bit. But for that, I'm just using another notepad sheet, marking the size of that panel, and then I'm just going to paste that on top, and it's good as new. I definitely could have left the page as is, but I know it's going to bother me, so no shame in thickening up that flap for a finished look. So yeah, that's all of my spreads for this last month of 2021. I did want to say before flipping through that in addition to stickers, patrons get access to the printable of cover pages, monthly spreads, coloring book style spreads, and even flip through videos. Check out the link in the description if you want to join the collection over on Patreon. So let's flip through all the spreads for this month. I'm actually pretty stoked about this setup. It's right up my alley. Let me know what you think down in the comments and what your theme is for December. I'm trying to crank out some videos before we leave, so definitely subscribe so you don't miss out there. Thank you guys so much for watching the entire video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. And if you like this video, here are a couple more I think you would enjoy.